Hello and welcome to the seventh part of Legal Aptitude Sample Questions for the CSEET exam. So, in this, we'll be discussing some wonderful MCQs where not only I tell you the answer but also give you the complete analysis. So, I am Company Secretary Alok. Let us start with the MCQs. So, here the first question is the enforcement of fundamental rights High Court can issue. That is, to enforce fundamental rights, what can the High Court issue? So we know fundamental rights is part 3 of the Constitution of India, where every Indian citizen can enjoy the fundamental rights. In fact, some fundamental rights can be enjoyed even by foreign citizens who come to India. Like for example, right to life. So here we have the options: writ, circular, act, and ordinance. So what will the High Court issue? The High Court will issue a writ. We know the answer is writ, that is option number A. So we know that to enforce fundamental rights, High Court does not issue a circular, High Court does not issue an act, High Court does not issue a ordinance. So even if you don't know the correct answer as writ, you can go for the rule of elimination. So you can eliminate the wrong answers, then you can write the right answer. Of course, but fundamental rights is a simple question. I'm sure you get that. That is pretty much simple to understand. But just let us have a clear concept analysis. What is a writ? When you look at the concept of writ, what is it saying? It is a form of a written command in the name of a court or a legal authority to act or abstain from acting in a particular way. So a very, very clear direction is being given. Can anybody give direction? No, definitely anybody cannot give direction. The direction can be given by the court or the legal authority. So in our case, it is the court. So since we know what is a writ, it is basically a written command. We have to understand that the enforcement of fundamental rights, High Court can issue a writ. That is the right answer. Next question. Which of the following protects personal liberty? Which of the following protects personal liberty? So when we know about writs, for the conceptual clarity, the second question is also about writs. So we know writ of prohibition, mandamus, habeas corpus, and quo warranto. So here, which protects personal liberty? It is the writ of habeas corpus. The writ of habeas corpus is the correct answer. So let us try and understand a little bit about this habeas corpus. Let us go at the point. The writ of habeas corpus is a fundamental right in the Constitution of India which protects against unlawful or indefinite imprisonment. So if somebody is actually kidnapped or somebody is in some organization and that is without any justification, or even if the police has detained somebody without lawful justification, or if there is an indefinite imprisonment without a proper timeline, somebody has been jailed. So that means that person has a right to appear before the court, and that's when any of his relatives or friend can file a writ for habeas corpus, which means the Latin word habeas corpus means show me the body. Show me the body. Okay, habeas corpus has historically been used as an important instrument to safeguard against individual freedom against arbitrary executive power. So whether it is the state government, whether it is the central government, whether it is any police authorities, anybody, if there is unlawful detention, even if there is any private party, who is unlawfully detaining you. Okay, suppose your school has detained you inside the school, or your college has detained you and not allowing you. That is, they are not allowing your physical movement. So that is unlawful detention. And that time, the friends or relatives want to see them, they can go to the court and file a writ of habeas corpus. So which of the following protects their personal liberty? It is the writ of habeas corpus. So you have the personal liberty to go anywhere. So that is the right answer. Okay. Next we go to the next question. Which of the following state have two houses, that is Legislative Assembly and Legislative Council? So you know in the Indian Constitution, every state government does not have both the houses. See, for the government of India, there are two houses at the center, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Correct? That is the house of the representative of the people and the house of the upper house and lower house. That is the representatives through the Rajya Sabha. Okay? That is what we understand. Same way for state government, we have Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. Correct? Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad. So they've given a list in the constitution. So which of the following states have two houses? So Maharashtra has two houses, Karnataka has two houses, Tamil Nadu too has two houses. So the correct answer is all of the above. So this is again little bit of a memory question. You have to remember that these states have two houses. Which of the following state have two houses? That is Vidhan Sabha plus Vidhan Parishad. That is MLA and MLC. Okay, Vidhan Sabha is always Minister of Legislative Assembly, Minister of Legislative Council. So Legislative Assembly is Vidhan Sabha, Legislative Council is Vidhan Parishad. So direct election is MLA. Indirect election through the representative is MLC. Just like direct election, all of us vote for the Minister of Parliament from our constituency for Lok Sabha. But Rajya Sabha, it's an indirect election where the representatives who we elect different places, they would have elected the members of Rajya Sabha. So indirectly we are electing. Which of the following state having two houses? So the answer is all of the above. Okay, next question. The maximum number of the upper house, Rajya Sabha, envisaged by the constitution is. So here again it's a memory question. For Rajya Sabha, that is upper house, the answer is 250. 250. Okay. So when we talk about 552, it is the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha. But Rajya Sabha is 250. That is the maximum number of members as of today. So there can be amendment later because the population of India has risen. So we may need more representatives. So that may happen in future, but as of now, 250 is the right answer. Okay. So what did we understand? So for fundamental rights, the High Court can issue a writ. To protect the personal liberty, we call it habeas corpus. Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu have two houses of parliament, two houses of assembly, that is Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad for the state government. And maximum number of members in the Rajya Sabha is 250. So Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, right? So 250 is the maximum number of members, representatives as per the constitution. Then the last MCQ for this particular video is cancellation of a contract due to impossibility of performance. So suppose there is a contract, you cannot perform for various reasons. Okay, what do we call it? Is it privity of contract? Is it frustration of contract, quasi contract, and or agency contract? So here let us just go to what is this privity of contract. So what is privity of contract? The relation between the parties in a contract which entitles them to sue each other but prevents a third party from doing it. So privity of contract is preventing the third party from suing it. So suppose there is one Arun, then the other one is Sonal. Suppose these are the two people who are having a contract. So can anyone else, let us say Kashyap, can he file a case against each of them? No. This contract is between Arun and Sonal for production of, providing of certain goods. Okay, certain goods. So if Arun is the supplier and the buyer is Sonal, if there is any problem, Sonal can file a case against Arun, not Kashyap, who is a completely third party. He is a completely third party. Okay, cancellation of a contract due to impossibility of performance is privity of contract? No, the answer is not, because we are cancelling the contract. In privity of contract, we are just saying the third party cannot sue. So the right answer is frustration of contract. So what is frustration of contract? So what is frustration of contract? Contract entered into between parties. Okay. Contract entered into between parties impose contractual obligations on both the parties for performance of the contract. So we have A, and B. So both have to perform. You have to give some service, you have to give some money. Okay. However, many times unforeseen, unforeseeable events occur. For example, COVID is one example. Unforeseen, unforeseeable event. COVID-19, the entire world is suffering, correct? So that time what happens? Unforeseen, unforeseeable events occur which make the performance of the contract impossible due to no fault of the party. Due to no fault of the party. Suppose B. B is a person who wants to go for Europe trip. Okay. So B has booked the Europe trip and paid to A. A is a travel agency. So A is a agency for travel. So B has booked the Europe trip and paid 1 lakh rupees advance. So the total trip is 2 lakh 50,000. So 1.5 lakh is later, 1 lakh rupees is advance. So B has paid advance to A for foreign trip. Now suddenly there is COVID and there is cancellation of flights. So what happens? Performance of the contract is impossible due to no fault of either party. So here is it a mistake of A, travel agency? No, he took the 1 lakh but there was cancellation of flight and COVID and all that. B, is there any mistake? Did he say no, I don't want to go for trip, give back my money? No. It is the fault of nobody. In such cases, contract is said to be frustrated. Frustration of contract results in involuntary extinction. That means the end of the contract. The contract comes to an end. Extension of the contractual obligation of both parties, and consequently parties are relieved from their rights and liabilities. Since there is an impossibility to perform, it is nobody's mistake, the contract comes to an end. So what should we understand here? So if we understand this properly, it's very, very easy. So the cancellation of a contract due to impossibility of performance, because it is nobody's mistake, it is impossible. So it is not privity of contract, it is not quasi contract, it is not agency contract. The right answer is frustration of contract. And what is frustration of contract? We understood very well, where it is the fault of neither of the parties. It is nobody's fault. It is basically because of an unforeseen or unforeseeable event which has occurred, and the performance becomes impossible. The performance becomes impossible because of an event. One example is COVID. Like that, any event which it becomes impossible, then we call it as a frustration of contract. So that was this part of MCQs where we discussed different concepts. So please do make sure that you watch the next video also, the sample questions for CACET exam.